Hey, climbers, welcome back to week 7. This peak has flown by. It seems like it's gone by very, very quick. So I'm excited to say that we have Frank joining us. Everyone remembers Frank from the last 3 sessions, the man of the mountain himself, always here to help us reach our peak. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Frank and he'll take it away.
Thank you, Justin. Good evening, everyone. Good to see you again. As Justin is saying, some of you are doing this peak program now four times, maybe. I've been doing it 4 times. I've been invited every time to come and join you and do some education and hang out with you and give you some tips and share my experience, share my knowledge that you can benefit from. It's great to see you all. So it is my 4th time and maybe also the 4th time for some of you. So who dares to say I've been here 4 times, 4 peak programs? Nice. Who says I've been at 3 peak programs? A few, that's good. Who's been at a couple so far? And let's also see who's new to the peak program this time around. And let's welcome those. Let me see if I can see anyone. Yeah, there is someone. So great to see everyone again. I hope you're keeping well. I am well. You may know I work in mental performance, mental training. It's something that you have been learning a lot about over this past year, I believe. I've been part of it, but also some others have been part of it. You've been learning a lot this peak program. Today, I was reviewing the session that Erin did with you last week. Do you remember that? Erin was with you. And she is a dear colleague of mine. I know her a little bit, and it was great to see her do that session with you guys. And again, you've done other work with Jody Flanagan, the champion. Also, lots of learning on mindfulness, and I really look forward to tonight. I prepared a little bit of a PowerPoint tonight, something I haven't done before with you so many times, but today I have prepared something. And I would like to devote this session on confidence, because I believe we have not talked together or worked together a lot on confidence, have we? Or maybe you have by managing the way you're thinking, managing the way you're feeling, managing the way you're preparing for sport. And just another couple of questions to check in with you. I know some of you have already gone back and done some training together, and I'm sure it's not all of you, but some of you. And who's been so fortunate to be back kind of doing training together with others? A few. Okay, that's really nice. For some of us, we have to wait a little longer. This summer was for the first time that I was able to kind of meet with people in person again. And I can tell you, it was such a relief. So nice to see people for real. We still needed to keep our distance. We still needed to wear face masks. We still needed to do a lot around hygiene and sanitation, but that works. And I hope that is also going to work more and more in your own training environments. So I hope you can go back into that pretty quick and work on your skills, work on your sports skills. And I know that you do all kinds of sports: swimming, rhythmic gymnastics, snowshoeing, bowling, floor hockey, and I probably miss a few, maybe athletics, soccer, and I'm still missing a few probably. I'm gonna open my chat to see if I can keep track of what you are saying here, because that was always super fun. Someone went bowling twice. That's great. So I am going to share my presentation, and we're going to work through it. And if you have something to say, or if I ask you a question, you can put it in the chat, and I'll keep a close eye on it. And I know Justin will do the same, and just to not miss everyone's input. And at the end of this presentation, I'll give you your password for the night. That's one, and then we'll open it up a little bit for some questions, Q&A. So let me see how I can share and how this is going to work. Share screen, that one, that one. Now you should be able to see this, won't you? Let's see if I can manage my screens here. One sec. Something is off. There we go. Put this one over here. Yeah. All right. So we're going to talk and work today on building confidence. And that's not easy. That is something that I hear a lot about, something that you probably all would desire to have a lot of. Being confident in yourself, being confident in your skills, and being able to put it there in practice, to show it in games and competitions. So let me help you kind of understand what this confidence is and how we can actually build it, how we can develop it. That's really my goal. Now, I'm going to share a lot of information with you, and you don't have to remember all the information, but I would like you to see if you can remember a couple of things that are most interesting to you, that are most meaningful to you. So maybe from all of what you're going to see and all of what you're going to hear, maybe there's a few things that are really important for you. And that's what I'm going to ask about at the end as well. Okay. So this is maybe simpler said than done. When you're thinking about being confident and showing that in sport, it's about doing the right things at the right time, in the right way, and you believe you can do that. And that's what we're aiming for. That's why I use this cool picture from this target shooter. That's what we're aiming for being confident in that you can do those skills, that you can execute that when it matters, when it's really, when you want to kind of show it. So let's see what it is about and what it's not about. So it's a very simple way of kind of explaining what self-confidence is it is your belief, the athlete's belief in your ability to achieve your own goals and to fully realize what your abilities are. In other words, to succeed. Now, I know in this peak program, you are setting goals because you want to get up this mountain, Mount Everest, Mount Robson, Mount, what was the Matterhorn, I believe, was in there. There's probably another one. So you're setting goals, and that means that you're setting goals for the number of exercise, elevate. What was the new program in this peak here? One sec, I've been reading up on it. It's elevate with exercise, and there is an athlete's recipe share and peak eat. So all kinds of different things that you can start doing, and completing your bingo cards and completing your assignments and exercises. And you can believe that you can do that in the time that you have. Now, this peak program is always 8 weeks. So you're setting goals to be achieving every week for 8 weeks. And it's great to have a sense or have a belief that what you're signing up to do, that you can actually do it, that you can actually execute that. And that's really what I mean by confidence. Now, I want to dispel some myths here. Okay, I want to kind of do a little bit of a quiz, and I'm going to try. I'm going to see if I can see you all together because it's kind of jumbled. Let me see. There, and I have to make it bigger. There we go. I can see a lot of you, and I can go to the next page for more faces. That's good. So we're going to do a thumbs up or thumbs down, which stands for, is it true, thumbs up, or false, which is thumbs down, with what I'm saying here? Okay, so there's 5 or 6 statements. And I would like you to give give a thumbs up if you think it's true, or if you think it's false, thumbs down. Okay, here's the first one. You can never be too confident. What do you think? Is that true or false? You can never be too confident. Okay, some say it's false. Let me see some more thumbs. And okay. Yeah, in the middle, somewhat. Yeah, it's, maybe you're not quite sure. That's a good option. So let's go to the next one. By the way, I think you can be too confident, and I'll explain that in the next couple of slides. We can have too much confidence, and that's not maybe so helpful either. So let's go to the second one. Confident athletes get nervous and experience anxiety prior to competition. Confident athletes get nervous and experience anxiety prior to competition. If you think that's true, if you think that's false, yeah, it'll make you think a little bit about what this actually means. Thank you very much. And I think that confident athletes also get nervous, and they can also experience some level of anxiety prior to competition. Confident athletes are not perfect. No one is perfect. So they may have some of those experiences as well. Maybe it's very normal, including with confident athletes. But maybe they're confident because they know how they can manage that. Maybe they know what they can do with that. Okay, let's go to the next one. Athletes must win to be confident. We know that winning is often, something we strive for in sport. Thumbs down if you think that's false. Yeah, it is false. Okay, we can be confident about other things, not only about winning in the game. That is a great booster. It's not to say that it doesn't help, but it's not necessarily the only reason that builds our confidence. Mistakes destroy confidence. What do you think about that one? Is that true or is that false? I see a lot of false, a lot of the thumbs down. See if I can see someone with a thumbs up. No, it's all, yeah, I see a thumbs up. No, this one is also false. Okay, it is definitely the case that mistakes can take a little bit of confidence away. I'm not sure, it maybe not destroy it. But you know what? We can learn from mistakes. We can figure out what happened, and we can figure out how we can get better, how we can figure out how we can do it the next time. So I think if you're confident, you use the mistakes to your own advantage. Can you see that? Okay, so let's go to the last two here, or the last one, I guess. World-class athletes have unshakable confidence. What do you think? True or false? I see a lot of thumbs down. Yes, of course. World-class athletes are good. They may be confident, but their confidence may also be shaken. That's very possible. Every athlete, no matter how good you are, needs to keep working on building that confidence. And when you lose it a little bit, we need to find ways to get it back. So this was all about dispelling some myths. So all these statements are false. And now we're going to figure out what is it actually and how can we build it. Okay? Okay, I'm going to see. And so one way of explaining it, we can have different levels of confidence. We can have low confidence. We have doubts. We second guess. We don't know if we can quite do it. It's not to say that you don't have any confidence, but you may not have as much confidence as you would like to have. Maybe you're feeling pretty confident. I can do this. I know how to do this. We can do this. I can pull this off. And so you're feeling much more confident. But there's also a situation where that confidence goes too high. And sometimes you refer to it as overconfidence. And I call it sometimes false confidence. I'm trying to find the chat back. Let me see here. Oh, here. There. And when you're overconfident, you're basically more confident than you're supposed to be. it doesn't match with reality. You think that you're better than you are. And sometimes we call it arrogant. And so for some people that works because they really want to present them well as like, I can't be beat. I am the best. I am the best there is. But for many of us, that just goes a little too far. And I have a great picture that kind of explains about this overconfidence. Okay, look at this. This mouse is protected and wants to eat that piece of cheese. But maybe it's not the smartest thing to do. Okay, so it is really overflowing that optimism, like I can do it, but it's not really matching with true life experience, with the reality that you're facing. Although this mouse can be super fast or super smart, the trap is still very, very dangerous. Can you see that? So that is why overconfidence is not always the best thing. So we don't want to have low confidence. We don't want to have overconfidence or false confidence. That we want to have that kind of good level of confidence that we can look at ourselves, that we can believe in ourselves and in what we can do. Now, confidence goes two ways. Okay, athletes who have confidence, they are able to be positive. Usually they are motivated, they're energetic, they're often focused when it comes to training or playing the game. And they also have some control in how their emotions are working. And these are all good things. We know that confident athletes have some of these abilities, have some of these qualities. But you know what? It also goes the other way. If you're working on keeping your emotions in check, maybe you can be more confident about that. If you work on your focus, maybe that elevates your confidence that you're doing something well. If you're motivated and you're pursuing that goal and you're going out all in there to make it happen, when you have that strong motivation, it usually has a positive effect on your confidence because you're achieving goals, you're doing well, you're showing what you've got. And, positive mindset, seeing things from a positive perspective, to talk to yourself and about your performance in positive ways will also then again elevate that confidence that you have. So I always found this very interesting that when you have confidence, a lot of these good things happen. But when you're working on a lot of these good things, confidence may also happen. So it really good, it goes two ways. And I have this quote from a famous baseball player from, I don't know, probably 100 years ago that he played. And he was basically saying that every strike brings me closer to my next home run. He didn't know when that next home run would be, but every strike would just put him a little closer to that. So it's that focused mindset, that positive mindset that helps, being a confident baseball player. So that's, I think, a great example there. Now, it's not always there. Sometimes we're struggling, and that's what I kind of try to show with this kind of what is it called? The spectrum. On the left side, you see where it's all working, where it's the peak, the flow, the zone. Everything is going is going your way. And on the right side, you see you're struggling, tanking, slumping, choking, things that we hear about when you're not doing well. And, confidence may not be great at that level, but you want to build it back up. And you can see that it may take a lot of work, to work through focus and become more consistent in what you're doing in training and how you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes you have to work the grind. You have to work so hard. You have to put a lot of effort in. And sometimes we also have to focus on what was the best this day? What was the best today? I want to cherish my accomplishment. I want to feel good about something. So I'd like to start thinking about, okay, what was the best that I did today? What was the best experience that I had today? What did I really like? And on, also, with a very consistent, determined, focused approach, you can work on bringing that confidence back. And what we use for that, and there are some difficult words in here, there's 3 big buckets that really help us with this. And you've heard this before. You've heard a lot about goal setting. You've been setting goals for a long time now in this peak program. You're going to set goals for when you get back into your sport and into your team and back into competition. But goals are really important because they show us the way. They tell us what to do or where to go. But goals is not the only thing that's important. Then you have to put a lot of effort in. You have to work hard. Who says what we're doing in sport is easy? No, you have to practice and practice and practice again. It does come with a lot of repetition, a lot of practice. And you want to be persistent in that. Sometimes you don't have a great day. Okay, you know what? But I'm going to go after it again tomorrow. And that's what's kind of put yourself back. The next big bucket is what is called cognitive efficiencies. Basically, how you can think efficiently, how you can think quickly, how you can think smartly, how you can apply focus. So really those things that we do in our minds in preparing for training, in preparing for competition, in how we make decisions. And on the other side, what is also very helpful is that we can regulate ourselves. That when we're too aroused, too energetic, too hyper, too stressed, that we bring that stress level down, that we can calm ourselves down. And you know how, a little bit of mindfulness, a little bit of breathing, looking at it from a different perspective, finding some positive images or positive words that help you in that are really soothing, that really take the sting out of that kind of intense experience. So you can see that there's lots we can do on an everyday basis to actually work actively on that confidence. Okay. Now this is maybe a little bit more from the theory, from the sports psychology literature that I've been pulling. And, these famous people in my field, in my work, they have explained to us what we can do to develop confidence. And I'm going to give you some tips, and maybe you remember 1 or 2 of these, and we're going to work on one or two of these as well. The first one is that we can actually use our past successes to feel confident that we can actually do something well. We have done it before. We know how to do it. So why wouldn't we use our own accomplishments to help build and develop that confidence that we believe that we can do something well? It's the best source. You have probably great examples about what your past successes are. And I'm going to ask you about that in a couple of minutes. What we call vicarious experience is basically watching others do well. And by doing so, by watching others do well, it motivates us. We want to do something that's similar. We are going to replicate what these others are doing so we can see if we can do it. So we're learning basically through others. We call it vicarious, but teammates, coaches, other athletes, other sports, they show us how they do it. So why wouldn't we use some of that to help build our own skill set or to be good for ourselves? Verbal persuasion. So this is about how you talk to yourself, how you think to yourself. But not only from yourself, also how others talk to us and what we're picking up from the encouragement that others are giving us. And then again, coming back to that piece about how we're managing that, what we call arousal, the energies, the tensions, the stresses, and how it affects our bodies and minds, and how we can actually manage that physiological piece, what we really can do in our bodies and find kind of center and having a little bit of a mindful moment, or take a couple of breaths, or taking a few steps back. Something that calms us down. So these are things that we can do. And, a few years later, this other person, Vili, she came up with a lot more, type of options that we can have. And some of it we've already seen, like encouragement, other people, the models, how we regulate ourselves, how well we prepare for our training sessions, how well we prepare for our competitions. And I'm going to talk a little bit in the next little bit about achievement, the one on the top, and also physical self-presentation, the one on the bottom. Okay, I don't have time enough to go in everything, but at least I can do a few things. I'm just going to check that before I do that. I'm going to check the chat to see if there's anything happening here. That's okay. Oh, that's a good question from Justin, I think. Last week you worked with those pizza or pie charts to basically say what are their strengths, what are those things that we want to work on, and how much of that do we have. And so here's a suggestion: if confidence is on that pie chart or in that pizza chart, how much would it be and how would you color it in? And I think that's where a lot of those responses, about 80%, 85%, 90%, 100%. It's funny. I've had this conversation with coaches many times. Like, some coaches would say, it's all mental. It's 90% mental. And I'm gonna reply to that. And I said, no, I disagree respectfully. I think it's 100% mental, 100% physical, 100% tactical, and 100% technical, your skills. You need to use all of those assets to make the best performance. So yeah, you can use that all to your advantage. So this goes back to our competitive side, the competitive side in us, why we want to do sports, to have fun, to do activity, to be physically active and physically fit, to make friends, to be with a team, to do something that we enjoy. But sometimes we also just want to compete, and we kind of see if we can win the championship or if we can win a game. And that's great. I think that is part of sport. Not the only part, but it's part of sport. But what we're looking at here is really the results, because we can do the best we can, and then the person we are playing against or the team we're playing against may be super tough, and it may be really hard to win that game. But it's still what we can strive for. But really, where the key to your success is, as you're going into, in doing your sport and becoming better at it, is how you play the game, is how you can race the race, in what you can do on the bowling lanes. That is where the performance is being made. And that means that you want to be moving in a particular way. And that is really what the performance can be about. Okay. Now, both ends of this picture are good. The top part, wanting to win a championship, is fine. It's, good motivation, good competitiveness. It's not the only thing. But on the bottom part is where we actually make it better, where we prepare for it, where we're actually learning something and how we can do this better. And what comes into play is how we think about things, how we can actually put one and one together, about how we can make sense. And I use this statement a lot: you'll get more of what you think. And if you think in a certain way, there is a chance that your brain is telling you that's something that you want to remember, or that's something that you can expect to happen. I'm going to give you an example. Let's say I want to buy a green car. No, I don't want to buy a green car, but let's say I want to buy a green car. Out of the blue, I think I want to buy a green car. Why not? And now suddenly the next day I see all those green cars on the road. Now, those green cars have been on the road before, but I'd never noticed them. I was never thinking about it. Now, suddenly I start to think about a green car, and now I suddenly start to see all of them as they are appearing to me. And that goes two ways. We can think in a way that's really helping our confidence and helping ourselves. We can also think in a way that is not helping us as much. And we kind of want to figure out how we can manage that. So I'm gonna send you this this handout in a minute. You may have seen this before because I've shared this with some of your coaches. But this is one of my favorite exercises. It's called Raise Your Self-Confidence Awareness. And what you see here is 8 sentences that are incomplete, because I'm asking you to complete them, because I would like to know what your examples are. And those statements are, something I do well in my sport is ... You probably want to know what you're doing well because you want to feel confident. You want to feel good about it. You want to feel confident. You want to be confident in it. The next question is a bit of a trick question. Something I do even better is, I would like you to think about a second thing that you are doing quite well. Usually it's not just one. There's probably 2. Okay, so those are the first two options here. So why don't you put in the chat right now, something I do well in my sport is, what would that be? Maybe it's shooting straight. Maybe it's great endurance. I can run fast. What do you think some of those qualities are that you can think about in your sport? You can go also think about the other questions here. My greatest strength as an athlete. My greatest strength as a person is, I'm not afraid to. Could you answer that question? I'm not afraid to do what? Because if you find the answer to that question, you're starting to become confident in that you can do something that could be tricky or could be a little difficult. And the same with the last one. If I want to, I can. If I want to, I can. Well, that would be interesting to know what you would answer to that. And there is the question that I promised to say. My greatest achievement is, why don't we use our past successes to kind of make us feel good? That's what this whole exercise is about. So I'm going to send this to you. Let me see if I can do that. Only from my Dropbox, not because of OneDrive. I have to put it in a different place to actually send it to you.
Frank, if you want to send it to me afterwards, I can post on the Facebook group and on the website for the athletes to use.
I will do that. That's a great idea, Justin. Thank you so much. So this is one of those exercises where you're going to start thinking for yourself, what do I base my confidence on? What are those examples? How can I feel good about it? How can I take pride in it? So this is a mental training exercise. And I think this would be a great exercise for you to complete in this week 7 of this peak program. When you think about doing your sport and what your confidence is based on. Now on the bottom, you see 2 open lines, and I put them on there on purpose because maybe you would like to fill in something by yourself. So you can expect this handout to come to you through Justin and through the Peak program. It's just a great confidence builder and awareness builder, and that you can kind of feel good about. Let me think. I am going to skip this part. It's really interesting, but I think it's a little too much for what I had in mind. So let me see if I can skip through this. Yeah. Someone raised their hand, Miranda. This is a good moment maybe to ask a question. Do you want to come online and ask me that question?
Sure, Frank. You were asking my biggest accomplishment?
Yes.
Well, my 2 biggest accomplishments are being an auntie, which I know that doesn't have to do with sports, but And try new things. Like, I'm not afraid to try new things. I would always like to try new things.
That's great. And that's really what you thank you for those examples, Miranda. That's really
You're
nice to
welcome.
share. And you know what? That's a great example, because that tells me that you have a good level of confidence about trying new things. And I'm just asking you to be really cognizant of that. That's great. Thank you. Okay, this is not the last slide. You can see that. It's not. But what I really would like you to think about is that our brain cannot work very well around, the word not, don't, won't, can't. We kind of understand it, but it takes more time, and it doesn't really tell the story about what we want to be focusing on. We're actually missing the most important piece. And I'm gonna show you why our brains have problems with this. I'm gonna ask you, just when you look at the screen, let me see if I can do this. Do not think of a banana. Now, I think everyone failed this test. Do you think? Because everyone was thinking about the banana. How can you not think about the banana? Even when I tell you to not think of a banana, the first thing that we think about is a banana. Because that's what the focus of our statement is. And then we realize, oh, that's not what we're supposed to be thinking of. So I'm going to give you a second chance here, okay? Because it's even difficult the second time. I'm going to ask you to not think of a banana this time. Now, who was still thinking about a banana? So if the banana is not what you want to be thinking about, then you've got to figure out what you do want to think about, where your focus wants to be. And this is the same thing with struggles when we have about, can I do it? No, I can't do it. Or I'm not supposed to do this. We're focusing on the wrong things. Instead, we can think of different things that are more helpful. So if it's not the banana, then what is it? Could be anything. Could be an apple, could be a chair, could be me, could be how you throw that ball, could be how you take a breath, could be how you set yourself up for the next repetition. So it's really obvious that the way we talk to ourselves and think to ourselves can help increase confidence. And usually those messages are typically more positive. They're telling us something about what we're supposed to be doing in the task. They're goal-directed. This is what I want to achieve. This is what I want to do. It's encouraging compared to what those statements are that are decreasing, take away from confidence. They're typically negative or critical, maybe when we're angry or when we don't value as much. So what I'd like you to think about is P3 thinking. Think in three ways, P. 3 ways P, 3 ways, 3 ways P. Purposeful, productive, and thinking in terms of possibility. Now we have to find examples for this, okay? So when it comes to what is purposeful is, why am I doing this? What am I trying to do? Productive is actually to do it well, is to do, to have some quality in there, to get a good result. And possibility is, can I actually do it? Even if I try, can I do it? Yes, I think I can. I can learn how to do this. So you're thinking in terms of what can become, and we generally like that. I'm gonna ask you to unmute yourself for this exercise. And when this exercise is over, I'm asking you to mute yourself again. All of you. And what I'm going to show you is a picture. And I would be interested to know what you see, first impression. Like, tell me right away, out loud, what you see. Okay? First thing that comes to your mind. Now, here's the picture. tell me out loud what you see.
Okay.
Looks like
A rabbit. I see a rabbit. A duck.
Yeah, it's a rabbit.
That's right,
It's a
thank you.
rabbit.
A duck.
A bird.
No, a duck.
An animal.
A crow.
Or a raven.
That's a
Time
duck.
out. Thank you very much. Can you
Okay.
mute yourself, please, again? That is awesome. So yes, there is a duck,
Okay,
there is a
quick.
bird, but I also heard someone say there's a rabbit. Well, there's
Yeah.
actually two images in the same picture. Can you see both the duck or the bird, and can you also see the rabbit?
Oh, yeah, the duck and the bird. I kind of do. Yes, I do.
That's right. It's really depending about how you look at the picture. Now, when you don't like what you see, let's say the duck or the bird is not the best picture that you want to see, you can think about something else. Is there something else that I can see in the same picture? And then you come up, yeah, I can actually see a rabbit. And that's the same with kind of how you can look at your own thoughts. Or if you don't like what you're thinking, if you don't like what you're feeling, if you don't like what you're thinking, can you think in a different way? Can you look at it in a different way? Can you turn it around? I'm tired. Is that helpful? No, I'm tired. But, practice is still 15 minutes. You know what? I have energy for 15 more minutes. I'm going to be good. Do you see how it just switched the perspective? Because we can also start complaining about being tired. Yeah, I'm tired. But do you think that's going to help you? No, probably not so much, because practice is still on for 15 more minutes. So let's see if we can find a different way to look at it. And yes, I do have a little bit more energy to complete my practice session, my training session. That will be an example. The last couple of things I want to share with you is, again, looking at it from an angle that is helpful for you. And what I use is a short list that I call positive focus. And what you will see on the screen are ways of thinking that are obviously positive and not negative. And you will see why. Okay, a positive focus is a focus on the solution. Okay, yeah, there may be a problem, and we know what the problem is, but we don't want to dwell on the problem. We don't want to rehash the problem all over and over again. Can we figure out what the solution is, and can we focus on that? Can we work with that? Do you think that would be helpful? I think it would be helpful, because you're much more productive. You're much more purposeful. You're much more thinking about in terms of possibility. It's that P3 thinking, right? Okay, next example. Focus on what you can do and not on what you cannot do. That makes sense, right? Why don't we focus on our controls? There's maybe many things that we can do, but can we work with those that we can do? That would be super helpful, and it gives us much better feeling that we actually can do something productive. And focus on what you have and not on what you have not. I know sometimes we have desires. Sometimes we'd like to have better equipment. Sometimes we'd like to have more training time. But you know what? At the moment, we don't have it. So why don't we work with what we have? What you have is Peak Program. What you have is Maximize Your Mindset Mondays. What you have is your own routines. What you have is your own interest. What you have is your own strengths in sport. There's a lot that is can of work for you. Next one. I love this one. Focus on what you can gain and not on what you could lose. It's always a matter about, okay, where can I make some improvements? What can I do next? How can I turn this mistake into something that actually helps me and actually get better through it? So that's a much more positive focus. Focus on what you can gain. And the last one, and this one comes back to some of the work that you've done before, even last week, is focus on why you will be successful. What are your strengths? What are your qualities? What are your assets? How hard are you working? And if you're, for example, complete that exercise that I'm going to send you, the one that you just saw, that gives you all kinds of reasons why you can be successful. Now look at this. Now you have suddenly 5 options for positive focus. Now, when I show this list to anyone, I never expect that you have to have answers for all of them. But often I think there could be one that could really make a difference for you. So maybe in addition to that handout that I'm going to send to Justin, I'm also going to send this slide. Would that be a good thing? Because I'd like you to remind yourself of these questions or of these points, and that you can find the answers that would help you move forward and that you can feel confident about. I'm going to see, I think there's one more piece. How we present ourselves. Super important. You may have noticed that I decided to stand during this session. I do that for two reasons, because I sit too much during the day and my body doesn't really respond well to that. So I have to put myself in a different pose, in a different position. So I'm doing that standing. And when I'm standing like this, I'm standing on the floor with my feet about shoulder width apart. I have good, how do you call that? Foundation in my legs and in my hips. I have my arms open. I'm not standing in a power pose like those ladies in the bottom, because that they stand very, very strong. But that looks pretty confident, don't you think? I'm not saying that you have to do this, but the way we position ourselves, the way we present ourselves can definitely make a difference. How do you think a confident athlete looks like when he's walking onto the track or onto the court? What does a not so confident athlete look like when they're walking onto the court? So you can practice this. You can work with this. You know, you and your coaches can do something around. Okay, let's strike a pose and let's feel good about it. And when I'm having this open pose, it actually allows me to breathe. It actually allows me to look around. I'm actually open to all kinds of suggestions. So just think about how your own body language and your own position in your body on the floor, in the chair, can make a difference. That's what I have in mind. I hope that you picked up a couple of strategies, maybe more, about how you can build your own confidence and what you can do almost every day to actually improve that, work on it, and not be, complacent and waiting for it to happen, but actually do certain things that can actually make you be more confident. Okay, I'm going to open it up pretty quick for questions here, but I would like to really, first of all, thank you for being with you again. I think I'm lined up to be with you one more time here next week, so I look forward to that. I wish you a really good week 7. Finish strong this peak program. You're almost there, but not quite. It's still 2 weeks in the program. And I would like you to think about how you can finish this peak program strong in raising your confidence about what you've been doing. And I'm going to ask questions about that next week as well. Okay. This is what you've been waiting for as well. The password is, there it is, turtle. Everyone got that? Everyone someone puts it in the chat? Turtle it is. And before I go to question and answers, I'd like to thank you again. I really love doing these Monday evenings with you, and I'll be with you again soon. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. And we have maybe 5 minutes to go through some questions. And I am going to, first I'm going to look at the chat. Give me a second. There it is, turtle.
I got one from earlier, Frank.
Oh, please, yeah.
The question was, how does self-confidence help when people say negative things?
Well, it doesn't help. The negative things usually don't make us feel better, don't make us feel confident. So my suggestion is that we have to kind of challenge some of those negative thoughts. And just like we looked at the bird and the rabbit, we want to kind of figure out if there's another way we can start looking at it, start thinking about it. So if that negative thought is like the banana, and we do not want to think about that negative thought, the banana, then we have to figure out what what else we can start thinking about. We have to replace it with something. Okay, so I may think about, you know what, I can't do it. I'm too small. Well, in fact, I'm fairly tall, but let's say I'm too small. You know, and I compete with all these bigger athletes, and that this actually happens. You know, but you know, I may be small, but I'm quick. And that is really a different angle that I kind of want to think about, that I can feel much better about, that I can feel much more confident in. So if that example is right, I hope I answered that question well enough.
I think that was excellent. I think that's about it for the chat. So if you want, we can get to a few hands up.
Sure. You want to facilitate that, Justin?
Sure. Jordan, you can unmute and ask your question. Jordan McLeod, sorry.
Okay, my question is, if somebody is with self-esteem or lack of confidence, what do you know what we can do to prevent that from happening?
Yes. If you recall that handout that I'm going to send you, that's a great example about how you can start thinking about yourself in more productive, positive, purposeful ways. So if you recall well, there was a question about something you would do, you are doing well in your sport. There is a question that is like, I am proud that, you know, and you can find your own examples, Jordan, about how you would fill that in for yourself. And I would expect that it would be very different for you than it would be for me or for someone else. It's very personal. But that's how you start building a little bit of examples that help raise that confidence, that you can feel good about yourself. So I would work around that type of exercise, Jordan. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Thank you. That's great.
Hi. What makes me feel good is my two little nephews make me feel strong about myself and just want to keep me going. And then also I'm starting a new, I'm going back to school to be an EA online. So it's
Nice.
going to be it's going to be a year-long program, Monday to Friday. So that's going to be a big challenge for me, but I'm up for it because I want to get a good career going, and I don't want to work retail for the rest of my life.
That sounds good, Laura. So two things that I'm picking up, and what the first thing is about other family members, people that we love, people that we care about. And they often give us great vibes and good encouragement, and how good we are as persons, as people, sometimes as how good we are as athletes. So remember, what other people are telling us or showing us can really help in building our confidence. And the other piece that I really appreciate, Laura, is that you're getting into a big challenge and getting into this education for EA. And at the same time, I almost hear that you can meet that challenge, that you can actually put your shoulders under it and make it work. And that's a good, confident approach. That's great. Thank you for that. I'm going to, for now, Danielle Gold.
Hello, friend. My biggest accomplishment is winning a silver medal at National Games. And also I'm an auntie to two nephews and one niece. I'm going to be an auntie again in December when my cousin has another child. And my question for you is, I am not returning to programs until spring. So how can I stay motivated without seeing my friends?
Oh, that's really, really hard because you want to see them in person, I'm sure. At the same time, I encourage you to stay connected through FaceTime or Zoom, stay connected by activities that you can do, even virtually. You know, through this pandemic, I love to play games like board games and card games, and I couldn't do that anymore with people because of COVID. But I start doing it online, and that was the best second. That's the best second thing I can do. It's not the same, but it's still pretty good. So staying connected and staying active is super important. And what the Peak program is telling you, Danielle, which is super important, is that you need to keep setting goals that interest you, that you want to go after, that you want to make an effort for, and be staying well at the same time. So those are the really important pieces to stay motivated.
Yes, I find this program to be a big help to staying motivated.
Oh,
Thank
yeah,
you
okay.
very much.
Who's next? Let me see. Leonka, you have your hand up like a long time. Your arm must be sore.
Yeah. Thank you. I remember, that sheet with the questions. I remember doing in 2010, going to nationals for bowling, and when I do it this time, I'm going to find the old sheet that I did and pair them.
That sounds great, Leonka. I'm so happy that you still remember that from so long time ago. And what I encourage you to do, Leonka, because it's now 10 years later, I would like you to complete that form without looking at the other first. First, you need to complete it as you are doing now, and then you can compare them. And that would be super interesting.
All right.
Is that okay?
Yes. Thank you very much. And I quite enjoyed tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Jordan, a couple more questions. Justin, do we have time for that?
Yeah, Jordan, you can unmute.
So keeping it up has to work really hard so we can be active. We always have to be very tough so we can win, not being a failure about losing, like winning or losing or winning or losing. So we just have to be very tough. So keep pushing, always work really hard.
Being tough is what you want to be good at, and then see how the ball, which way the ball rolls. You can't always control for that because you're always playing an opponent. But what you can do is work as hard as you can, try to be as tough as you can, and put that big effort in. That's where your performance is, Jordan. This is an excellent point. Great.
Thanks, Jordan. Jessica, you can unmute.
Okay, you know how you said, like, Frank, you know how you said the banana?
Yeah.
Like, basically, I was focused on, like, my brain was swimming. Basically, I'm thinking of what I can improve in my swimming.
Yes. You want to focus on that. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Yes, that's perfect. It's not always that I guess that's always what you want to look for. But the reality is sometimes we get a little sidetracked. Sometimes we hit a bit of a bump. Sometimes we're making a bit of a mistake, or we having a setback. And sometimes that causes us to second guess or to have a concern. And then we have to regain that perspective, that focus, that you are saying, okay, how can I get better? What can I do next? That is the best way to move forward. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks, Jessica. Sarah, you can unmute.
When I compete in like swimming or cross country, I usually focus on my race and not anybody else.
Yes, your own racing. Is that what you said?
Yeah, on my own race.
Yes. I understand that there's always opponents around you. You're always kind of competing in a field of others, but you need to kind of do your own race and try to execute your own race as good as possible. Is that what you're saying, Sarah?
Yeah.
And that sounds like you know what you're talking about. That sounds a little bit to me like a confident athlete. Would you say so?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Kennedy, you can unmute.
Hi. I figure skate, and at times, like during practice, I get down on myself a lot, like when I don't do an element right. So, what can I do to keep my confidence up?
Okay. You do realize that you can't do it always perfect, right? You do know that, you know, sometimes you make a slip, sometimes you make a mistake, sometimes you don't execute as you're supposed to do. If we would all do it perfectly all the time, it would be quite boring because, you know, we always want to kind of see how we can do it, make it better. The first thing I'd like you to do after a slip up is diffuse. Take the frustration away. 5-10 seconds, take a breath, recompose yourself on the skates, go for a couple of strides, make sure you can shake it off a little bit. Okay, does that make sense to you? Make yourself loose again. And then you're going to start thinking, okay, what I'm going to do next? What am I going to focus on next? What can I do to see if it can make it better, improve? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Frank.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Kennedy. We'll ask one more question here. So Laura, you can unmute.
Sure.
My question is that I have a new staff that just got hired to work with me.
Yes.
And how can I have the confidence on how to, I was gonna say train him, or how to be sure that he can understand my needs?
So I think that's a really good point, because what you're talking about is a relationship with your coach or someone that you're working with. And usually what I know is that it always works best if you can trust each other, if you can understand each other. That makes sense to you, right?
Yes.
So the best thing that I can advise you is to say, hey, can we chat for 5 minutes? Can we sit down for 5 minutes? Can I give you a phone call and just prepare what you want to say, you know, write down 2 or 3 points that you think are important for him or her to know, and just prepare that in advance, write it on a little piece of paper, and then share that information and then ask the question, what do you think of that? Is that of any use to you? Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Sounds good, Frank.
Well, thank you, Laura. Appreciate all your questions, and I hope you found this time with me here worth your time. That you learn a couple of things, that it motivates you to explore more in your own mental performance.
As always, Frank, it was a great session. I really enjoyed it. I hope the athletes did too. I found it very informative. Thank you all for showing up tonight. And I hope you have the great rest of your week 7 and can do Elevate with exercise and the other content we have available. But I will see some of you tomorrow at Social Club. So have yourself a good evening, and we'll see you later. Bye, everyone.